I'm Carolyn Dawson. I'm a researcher in infection prevention at the University of Warwick and also at UHCW NHS Trust. And I'm enthusiastic about infection prevention and how we should involve everybody who works in infection prevention together to look at common research problems. So at the moment that's antimicrobial resistance. And the reason I think this is something we should be optimistic about is that at the moment we see antimicrobial resistance as something that happens far away in a lab. We can looking at new antibiotics. But how does that affect the people who work on the wards at 2 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon? My particular area of expertise is hand hygiene, and what we're saying is that if you can help people with their hand hygiene and understand why hand hygiene is important, that links back to antimicrobial resistance. So if we can get people to perform hand hygiene correctly, it means people will have less infections, will need less antibiotics, and therefore will have less antimicrobial resistance. And what I want to do is involve the people who are on the wards and see how we can improve practice to do the research. So not just be part of the participation, but also carry out the research, go to conferences, write papers, so they can be part of the research community.
So this is about bridging the gap between the people who are doing the work in wards and the people who are doing the research like you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And treating you both as equally valid, I guess.
Yeah, and that's why I'm working at the NHS Trust. So I spend 3 days a week at University Hospital Warwickshire to be in the wards, go down, see who's doing research, work with the infection prevention team to try and get rid of the apathy that surrounds infection prevention. So it's not seen as something that happens only when there's a problem and that people get parachuted in as police and cause a fuss and then go away again. But we bridge the gap, so the research can be done by everybody, include everybody. Everybody's idea is valid, but then putting the rigour behind it so that you're not constantly reinventing the wheel. But also that certain hospitals and certain wards will go around a problem one way. We can take it to conference, say this is how we did it, but also learn that different hospitals can do it a different way, but all going towards a central pot of knowledge to look at something huge like antimicrobial resistance, but that you on a Tuesday afternoon at 2 o'clock are doing something really important to this massive global problem.
So the assumption is that at its simplest, if people are involved in solving a problem, like why don't we wash our hands often enough, they're more likely to do it anyway.
Yeah, and they understand why. I mean, this is the big thing. It's particularly with hand hygiene, is we all think that it's simple and we do it anyway, but we know in practice that it's not happening. But if people are involved in the research, so that they'll get more exposure to why it's important, they'll be enthusiastic, and then they want to share the reasons why they did it and talk to people and go out there and share the words of why it's important, but also know it's a global problem and that they're part of this huge global problem and that they can change it.
And from what you were saying before, the way I understand it, it's not just a problem of we don't want to be dying in hospitals from infections we didn't need to catch, but it also means that antibiotics should last a bit longer for us.
Yeah, that's the hope, is the fact that if people don't get the infections, they won't need the antibiotics, and therefore we've got this limited pot of antibiotics, but there's a chance they could last longer while the people in the labs are creating new antibiotics.
Good luck.
Thank you.